Welcome everyone. The hour being 6 p.m. on Wednesday, July 19th, 2023. The Tooele City Council and the Redevelopment Agency of Tooele City are meeting in a work meeting. It's being held at Tooele City Hall in the council chambers located at 90 North Main Street. This meeting is also being broadcast on the Tooele City YouTube channel. Our first agenda item is, or the second agenda item is a roll call. Councilwoman Manzione.
Present.
Councilman McCall.
Present.
Councilman Graff.
Present.
He's joining us by phone. I'm Councilman Brady. I'm also present, and Councilman Hanson is asked to be excused from this meeting tonight. We'll move to our third item, which is the mayor's report.
Thank you, Chairman and Council. I just wanted to report back, and I'm sure that you have already noticed, but the traffic signal now, the temporary signal on 600 West and 1000 North, or SR 112, is now up and running. And I know that there's been a lot of comments out there on social media about what's happening. Nothing ever happens quickly in government, unfortunately. It's just the way that it is, that it happens. But it was about 2 years ago when this was first brought to the attention of UDOT. And I may have sent them a few emails and made a few phone calls over and over to make sure that this was continuing to move. But it has to do a lot with design and funding. So they were able to get the temporary signal up, which I am very, very grateful to UDOT for at least getting that to happen and letting residents know that although this is temporary, it will be a permanent light. The design is almost complete for the construction of additional lanes, because it will take some turn lanes to make that whole intersection safe. And we will watch for that to happen, and then as soon as that design is complete, then they will put it on their list for funding, and we will just cross our fingers and hope that funding comes sooner than later. But I do believe that at least now people coming from 600 West or not, I was going to say Rogers Road, it's somebody else's road, 600 West. At least now they can get out on the road. It was just a very, very touchy place down there, but I just want to remind residents too that just because there's a light does not mean people will stop when it turns red. So always be careful of where those signals are and what's happening before you just go through because you've got a green light. So make sure that everyone is just always being attentive while you're driving. And that concludes my report tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Wynn. We'll move to item 4, which is the council members' report. We'll start with Councilman McCall.
My meeting was canceled, so I don't have anything. When I was going to go to.
Okay.
Oh, I guess I should have talked into the mic. Sorry. But mine was canceled, so I didn't have anything.
Okay, Councilman Graff.
Yes, I had a chance to attend the Arts Council meeting, and I'm just really excited with the direction our Arts Council is going, and just some good stuff coming up. So excited for that, and that concludes my report.
Thank you. Councilwoman Manzione.
I also attended the Arts Council meeting, and I would echo Councilman Graff's comments on that. And then I was able to attend the tour of the Buffaloes on Main Street. That was a really fun event, and I was pleasantly surprised at the number of people that were in attendance, but it was fun to meet the artists of the Buffaloes that are out so far and to hear why they're painted such, and I would encourage people to go out and take a look. Go up close. You can see lots more when you're close. That's all I have.
Thank you. I also attended the Buffalo unveiling, and it was amazing to see the artists that we have in the community, and the Buffaloes turned out great. We're excited for the others that are coming. That concludes my report. We'll move on to item 5, which is our discussion items. The first one, the only one, is ordinance 2023-32, an ordinance of Tooele City amending Tooele City Code Title 6 regarding animal control. This is presented by Darwin Cook, the Parks and Recreation Director, and Police Chief Adrian Day.
Thanks, Council. I'll give a little bit of history behind this so that we can kind of set the base for the discussion. As you know, Tooele City owns and operates an animal shelter. The animal shelter built about 20 years ago, was designed mostly for, well, actually was designed for dogs and cats. We do get the occasional other animal that might be surrendered or picked up by our animal control officers. So as we have visited with the Utah Animal Humane Care Act and the code that the state of Utah has for animal care and animal codes, we've noticed that it's mostly actually is all directed at dogs and cats. So what we're proposing is to update our ordinance for animal control, or regarding animal control, to kind of be similar to the state's, in that our job as a city and our mission as a city is to actually provide an ordinance that allows us to effectively provide that or control for cats and dogs, seeing as how that's actually what our shelter is set up for. We have reached out to a couple organizations, one our Rockstar Pets, and also Ivy Petting Farm, I guess, is that what it's called? And both of them have agreed to take a role with those animals that don't fit into dogs and cats. The livestock, rare, chickens, guinea hens, peafowl, other type of things. The petting farm is willing to take those. We wouldn't officiate in any way with the transfer of those animals. We would just refer people who are trying to get rid of those animals to them. And Rockstar Pets has agreed that they would take any exotic animal that was surrendered, so like a turtle, snakes, lizards. All of these are animals that have at one time or another been at our shelter. So we would just pursue that, and again, this would be a reference only. At the time that they were surrendered to them, those two organizations could do with the animals as they choose. So, any questions regarding that part?
How often are we seeing animals that are not dogs or cats?
A couple times a month. I think most people, when they understand that the shelter's full, they stop. Like rabbits are probably the most common that isn't a dog or a cat. But we've had guinea pigs, rabbits, a peafowl,
rabbits, ferret, peacocks.
Yeah, peacocks.
Those are animals that we really do not have the capability of taking care of. But I am very grateful to Chief and to Darwin for reaching out to other animal care facilities that are willing to take these other animals if people have them. So, and of course, wildlife will always be referred to the State Department of Wildlife or DNR.
Yeah, and interesting, today we actually had a hawk that was actually at the Pratt Aquatic Center that was picked up by, well, my understanding is I think DNR called a falconer that came and actually retrieved the bird, but I thought that was the HVA system that was making that noise. I was like, that's not good. Sorry. So yeah, we'd like to just pursue that. And then I guess let Chief kind of, because the other parts of it are the code, which Roger's done a fantastic job of updating this. So it was kind of, and some of this is, as you'll see in your packet, is housekeeping items to kind of make it match. But there are a couple items that maybe we'd want to discuss to see what your guys' input would be.
Also, the impounding of livestock is the county's role to take, so it doesn't affect that. But yeah, Roger did a great job changing the wording from animal control responsibilities and shelter responsibilities, such as who's impounding and who's caring for the animals. Just switching wording like that, referring to the fee schedule now instead of the old one. There is one issue I see on Chapter 4, Number 1. It's Title 6, 4.1. And I had Roger change this. He had changed all of these from animal to cats and dogs, like on the rest of the code, but I had him change this back so we can still refer those who are allowing animals besides cats and dogs running at large, that we can still do something with that. But unlawful to harbor a stray animal, you're required to notify the division within 24 hours, and we don't need to be notified for other animals, so we need to change that one from stray animal to stray cat or dog in 641, and that's, I think that'll make it good.
And that exact section is where we probably should need to have the discussion on, Roger and I. So if you follow 411 or any social media, you'll see animals are picked up a lot, or, hey, this is a dog I just found. There have been some successful cases to where people have found the animal and they strive to try to find it before they call animal control or whatever have you. So I've been asking questions why this exists as a 24-hour. Roger part of it was because of theft. Like, people, if they find a dog and they notice that it's or even a cat, that it's valuable, they keep the animal and don't return it. So Roger was also thinking that this code was probably put into place prior to social media, so the 24 hours was just to a set time. Our discussion that we thought we'd have is, do we want to change that? Do we just make it so that they have to notify the shelter within 24 hours? They don't necessarily have to surrender it to the shelter within 24 hours. Case in point, there was one just over the last weekend. The people had it for 36 hours from when I saw it was posted to the time that it was returned. But a successful return of an animal that his control officers didn't have to handle, nor did we have to handle at the shelter. So thoughts, feelings?
But on the other end, I get the other end where they're mad because he has my animal, we were never notified, and we get that argument too. So I love most of them are successful. They put them on social media, they're responsible, but we do have the few where they're just trying to take the animal.
Dishonest, trying to steal the animal.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm speechless. Yeah.
So our shelter supervisor, she's okay with extending it or however you want to do it. Her thought is that we still need to make sure they know, because they do get a lot of calls. Hey, we're missing our black lab. Have you had a black lab turned in? If somebody was to at least report it to them within the 24-hour period, they could at least, arrange for that dog to be exchanged.
So they would report it to the animal shelter, but keep the dog or cat for how long, though? Just as long as they want? Or?
As long as they...
It
Or
would
do they
be for
have
the
to-
5 days, because we would
Oh,
keep
yeah,
it for
that's
5 days at the shelter, and after that, it's adoptable. So after 5 days, the shelter would tell them, okay, you can go ahead and keep the animal. And that would be my suggestion, that we still have
a time limit.
something that we can charge if you're just taking an animal. But if,
And I-
obviously, we don't charge it at all unless we run into a problem. But instead of impounding, releasing it to the shelter, we let them keep it. They just have to notify them.
And if we keep that 24 hours, I think that's fine. But there